Okay. All right, so remember what we said we're going to do first. We're going to come on here with this driver like this. We're going to keep it slightly angled, like that, and then we're going to strike it. Same thing here. And as you can see, they come out pretty decent. Now, if it didn't come loose, you can just do it again with that driver right here to loosen it up, just to make sure that you're not going to have a problem. All right. Same thing on this one now. If it's tight, you'll do it again. And you see? That's pretty tight still. So we're going to take our driver, put it back on, hit it again, like that. And it comes right out. Now, if this didn't come out, they make a tool like this. It's an impact driver. You put the impact driver onto the screw like this, and then you hit it, and it rotates the screw right out. So if you can't get it out with a normal screwdriver, use the impact driver. This thing is fabulous. I've been using this forever, back from actually in my motorcycle days. All right, so now we have these two out. We have the caliper slides properly. We're going to take out that 14, I'm going to bring it out and show you what it is. We're going to take out that 14 millimeter. And remember what I talked to you about the slide pins rotating? This is the tool that you would put on there. You need a thin wall wrench to hold it. All right, and then we just rotate that screw out. Same thing on the bottom over here. Slide it on there if you need to, and then we'll take it out. All right, now after we take those two out, we're going to come back up underneath here, and you see the 17 millimeter? We're going to take out that 17 millimeter, and there's also another one down over here. We're going to take that out as well. All right, so, all right, let's continue with it. But you never know. Now this one, you'll notice, I use my swivel head ratchet. I do like this better. All right, now that one came out pretty decent. Now, I will tell you this, before you try to take out one bolt all the way out and you leave the second bolt to do later on, break them both loose first. Otherwise, when you take this bolt out on the bottom here, I'll show you, you'll take this bolt out on the bottom and you'll get on here with the ratchet. This may move up or down, so that's why I want to loosen them both before you do anything. All right, so now that we have this out, we're just going to put that over there. The reason you have these is because you never want to have a brake caliper just hanging right here. So what you do is you take something like this here, you hook it through the caliper, like that, and you bring it up, and you hang it up out of your way, like that, so that it's not going to be dangling by the hose. All right, now we're going to take those two 17 millimeters out, and you can see I'm using a straight ratchet because these are a little bit tighter than the 14 millimeter. You want to break them both loose before you do anything. You want to break them both loose. Worst thing you can do is break one loose, and then you try to take the second one out, and you can't get it out. Or you can get it out, but the whole thing spins. All right? All right, so we're going to take this off now. We'll put this off to the side, and we'll come back to this shortly. Our rotor then just comes off the car. And what we're going to do is we're going to come in here, and any rust that you see on here, we're going to clean it off. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to use this tool to clean off any of the rust that's on here. It's imperative that this is extremely clean. You cannot even have a little bit of rust on there. A little bit of rust is going to cause a problem for you. So let's clean this up, and then we'll get that rotor back on. So let me get my eye protection, and we're going to continue. Now I just want to point this out to you. If you don't have a disc to clean it off. You can get some emery, you can get some sandpaper, and you can come in here and just clean off that rust. But make sure you get that rust off there, or you'll be pulling your hair out once you take it for a ride and you get that pulsating brake pedal. So, all right, let me make a phone call to the parts store and find out where the heck my parts are, and then we'll come right back. Okay, now that we have our replacement, we have everything cleaned up nice and clean inside here. We take our rotor, line up the holes right here with the holes that we need to put the screws back into, and just slide it back on just like that. Now, I will point this out to you. This rotor comes coated with an oily residue that they put on so it doesn't rust while it's in the warehouse. I did clean it off with brake cleaner, just so you know. All right, now you see I'm using this driver to put this back in. You could use the driver or you can use the screwdriver, whichever works. It doesn't really matter. Either one of them will be fine. All right, now what I normally do is I always tighten it just a little bit, just like that. All right, so now that's all done, ready to go. The next thing we're going to talk about is the brakes themselves. We're going to take these off, put them off to the side for now, just like this. And then we're going to take off the brake hardware. Very important that when you do a brake job, you take the hardware off and change it, because these, they get a little bit of rust. Well, this one here doesn't have a lot of rust on it, but usually there's a bunch of rust inside these two pieces right here. Let's see what this one looks like. Okay, this one is a little bit of rust inside here, so we need to clean that rust out of there. Two ways you can do it. One, you can use the sandpaper that I showed you before. You can take a file just like this, come in here, and you just clean it off just like that to get the rust off of here. But like I said, this one does not really need it. And this one here is the exact same thing. Just clean off the rust on there, and that's it. All right, now, next thing we're going to do now is we're going to open up our new hardware kit, because most premium brake pads come with a new hardware kit. If it doesn't, I always recommend changing the hardware, because that's why your brakes will stay applied, because the hardware is rusted. All right, so now, before we put it on, match it up and make sure it's the same. And you can see it's the exact same. Well, maybe not the exact same, but very, very close. All right? Now, next thing we're going to do, you put a little bit of grease every place that the brake hardware kit is going to touch. And the reason you do that is because it'll minimize the amount of rusting that actually takes place. Okay? And now we take our brake hardware kit, put it over the top just like that, and you push it, and you see it snaps right in place, just like that. Okay? Make sure your clip is in all the way here, and that's it. And we're going to do the exact same thing on this side here. That's that clip I was telling you about, that little clip right there. All right, so we're going to put it over the top like that, push it down, and you snap it down over there, just like that. See? And it's in all the way. Next thing we're going to do is you're going to hold this rubber right here, and you're going to pull out your slide pins. You're holding the rubber because you don't want to pull the rubber out as well, just like this. Okay? Now we're going to take each one out one at a time. We're not going to do them both at the same time. Take it out. Now this rag has got brake cleaner on it, just so you know. Clean your slide pin off just like that. Put just a little bit of the synthetic grease on there, very important. And then you take your caliper and you push your slide pin back in there, and you push it all the way down until that rubber boot snaps back up on the top. And you'll see it. See how it snapped back up? Now we're going to do the exact same thing on this one. Take it out. Now the reason I told you to do one at a time is because you see this one has that rubber piece on the top here. That's why I said you're doing one at a time, because this has to go back into the same place it was taken out of. Again, you put a little bit of silicone on here, Now with this, you don't want to get the silicone down over here. You want to have the silicone just up here, because you don't want to get silicone down there and have a problem where the silicone is in there and is pushing the slide pin back out. So we'll just put that in here like this, push it in till it snaps in, just like that. All right? Next thing we're going to do is everywhere that the brake pad is going to touch, we're going to put some silicone on it, just like this. Right? You don't need to use a lot, just a little bit all the way around, just like that. Now, I want to point this out to you as well. Brake pads, you see this brake pad has got the indicator on it. This brake pad, as you can see, it was the center on the inner. This was touching into the caliper on the inner brake pad. All right, so now you need to take the pad like this, hold it like this, and you'll look, and you'll see on the back, they're in opposite positions. So this brake pad is not the correct one. So we're going to put it off to the side. This brake pad here, as you can see, it's got the indicator right here, and this one has the indicator right there. We're going to take them, line them up just like that, and you can see the indicators are in the correct location. So this one then is going to be the inside brake pad. All right? Now, you can do this on the car, or you can do it before you put it back on the car. I like to do it here because it's a little bit easier to do. You put it on just like that, and you see how it's in there? Just like that. Now we'll do the other one. Now the outer brake pad makes no difference. There is no indicator on the outer part of the brake pad. The only one with the indicator on this one is the inner. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take this pad, put it in here just like that, and slide it in like that. And that is what your brake pad's supposed to look like in your caliper. And now we're going to put this back on the car. You take it, slide it over the top just like that, and then you squeeze your brake pads together. Now your brake pads are in there, and we're going to take our bolts that we previously took out, the 17 millimeters, and we're going to catch them in the back where we took it out of. You want to catch both the 17 millimeters before you tighten up anything. Okay? Otherwise, if you tighten this one up, this bracket may be off just a little bit one way or the other, and the bolt won't line up. So catch both of the bolts first before you do anything. Tightening it up, you should say. Okay, so now that we have the bolts screwed in, we're going to screw them by hand in as far as they can go. Now there is torque specs on these. I will look these up later and torque them on. If you need the specs, just send me an email. I'll let you know what they are. Okay, like I said, there is torque specs on that, so if you need them, let me know. I'll give them to you. All right, that's going to be the best. All right, now we'll take the caliper back off. Let me just show you something, right? Now you saw that light fall, right? These lights, I'm going to turn it off so you can see, these lights are amazing. This light takes a beating. I can't tell you how many times it falls on the floor, gets knocked off, or maybe even sometimes just flies across the room on its own, and it still keeps on working. The OTC Spectrum light, this thing is phenomenal. I have three of them here. Two I use every day. The other one is my spare in the back. Okay. Now we just plugged OTC, so now we'll finish this job up. And Matt, thanks again. Okay. Now before we put, let me just tell you this too. If you try to put this over the top and it does not fit over the top of the brake pad, which is the case right here too. All right, we're going to take this, we're just going to put it up here like that for now. I'm going to show you, there's a tool that you have to push these pistons back in. Like this, you put it, and you put your new brake pad in there like that. You take a tool like this, and this pushes the piston back in just that little bit that it needs to be pushed in. See that? And it just pushes that piston back in. Just that little 32nd of an inch is all we needed to go, but it pushes the piston back into the bore as far as it can go. All right, we'll take that off. Now we'll take our caliper, and every place that the brake pad is going to touch, we put a little bit of brake silicone on it, so the piston gets silicone, the mounting bracket gets silicone, just like that. All right, and then this goes over the top like that. We push our slide pins in so that we can get the caliper back over the mounting bracket. Take our two 14mm bolts, and we're going to screw them both in by hand first. Okay, we're going to catch them both. And now I'm hoping, let me see if I can show you this. Well, you're going to be able to see it, but I'm going to show you anyway. What we're going to do now is, you see this piece right up in here for the slide pin. Sometimes that'll rotate. So what you would do is you would take a wrench, put the wrench over it like that to hold it, to keep it from rotating, and then we'll tighten that bolt up right there. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, so this side is finished.